guys, it's Kales, and I'm gonna talk to you about books I read in July. And there's 16 of them, but I promise this video is gonna go fast. I promise. Absolutely, I promise. So yeah, I read 16 books in the month of July, and I get that it's August, but I'm just gonna be perpetually 2 months behind on my wrap-ups, okay? That's just how it's gonna work. It's just what's gonna happen, because life is busy, and that's fine. So yeah, I have 16 books that I have to get through for this month, so let's go ahead and dive into it. So I need to inform you that half of those 16 books that I read, 8 of them were from the Rizzoli Isles series. So I have 2 of them here. Because these are the only 2 I own. The rest of them I got on audiobook. So I just binged them, guys. I absolutely binged them. They went everywhere from 2 to 4 stars from different ones of the Rizzoli Isles series by Tess, Gerritsen, and you really should read these in order. I'm not a big mystery reader. Like crime fiction, you know, like James Patterson, Dean Koontz, Craig Child, John Grisham, he does law, but still, like, that's not my thing, okay? And I'm not big on this stuff, but I binge watched the show Rizzoli Isles back in June, May-ish, and I was in love with it, and I was like, hey, this is a book series, I should try out this book series. And so I read the first book back in June, and then I was just obsessed, and that's how it happened. And like I said, I read 8 of them in July, and mostly it was done on audiobooks. They were really quick audiobooks to get through, and I just liked them. Like I said, I really enjoyed them. I enjoyed them obviously enough to read 8 of them in 1 month. Next was my July book of the month book, which was the Kiss Quotient, and I picked up this book because it featured a main character who's on the autism spectrum, and that's a female, and I was really excited about that, and it's a romance. I was unaware that it was a romance, like a romance when I picked it up, but that's okay. I still really enjoyed it. She basically hires an escort to teach her how to have sex. That's essentially what happens in this book, and of course they fall in love, because it's a romance, and it's happy, and I liked this book. I gave it a 3 out of 5 stars. I enjoyed the lightheartedness of it. I struggle sometimes with romances, because I just want people to use their words and communicate, because I feel like that all of Shakespeare's plays and romances could be solved if, if people just used their words, but that's not what happens, and we have to have lack of communication to have stories sometimes. So that was my biggest complaint with this book, but I really did enjoy it, and I'm gonna definitely keep this copy. I enjoyed it. It was a nice introduction into romance for the month of July, and it was good. I really did enjoy myself. Then I read probably one of my least favorite books of the entire year, and that was Sea Witch, and this book was stupid. I'm sorry, I don't care if you liked it, this was dumb. I am done and sick and tired of the fantasy retelling. I'm done, guys. Can we be done? Please, YA, can we find another trope that we want to just disembowel and beat with a hose till it's past dead, till it comes back alive and then we kill it again. Please, because this retelling of the origin of the Sea Witch from The Little Mermaid was terrible. It was so bad and just not entertaining. I couldn't stand the main characters. It was really predictable, and like I wanted something more from it, and it just felt like, nope, all of a sudden she's a sea witch. Also, the magic in this world made no sense. I don't know where it came from, what was its origin. I just didn't, but by the end of it I didn't even care, and I just was very disappointed in this book, and it made me really annoyed that I even picked it up and wasted time on it. I really thought this was going to be something special, and instead it was not great, and I just really wish we would stop retelling fairy tales and we could just be done with it. I read The Way I See It by Temple Grandin, which is 32 essays. She writes about people on the autism spectrum or autism spectrum disorder, which is great. She's insightful and amazing, and Temple Grandin is great. She actually teaches up at CSU, which is really cool to think that she's only like a hop, skip, and a jump away. I wish she would come down to the store, but she probably gathers audiences of thousands. But anyway, my point, I gave that a 3 out of 5 stars because there were some really awesome and helpful essays in here. Anyway, The Way I See It is really insightful and interesting, and again, what I love the most about Temple Grandin is that she really stresses that these are her experiences with having ASD, and they don't necessarily count for everyone, and I just really love how insightful she is, and yet how she still does so much research for ASD. bestie. She really is a figurehead, and I would love to shake her hand one day. Then the best book that I read all month was The Adventure Zone, the new graphic novel from the podcast, The Adventure Zone, with the McElroy brothers and father. And if you guys are listening to this podcast, you need to go listen to this podcast. Start over all the way to the beginning, and they play D&D so hard, they cry. And what's beautiful about this is they take a medium that is all told through audio. So it's this beautiful story that spans like 4 years that they spent playing D&D and telling it. And then they took the first like arc of it and turned it into a graphic novel. And it's really cool. And I love that they still have some elements like the D&D pops up in the corner. And I got a signed copy. That was really cool. I didn't meet them. They didn't come to the store. We're not that excited about it, but it's fine. It's still a signed copy. Yay. And so I just think it's a beautiful medium, and it's hilarious, and it still keeps the tone of the podcast. So it was going to be really, really hard for me to hate this book. Then I read Eragon, and I'm not going to go into my thoughts on that. If you would like my thoughts on Eragon, go listen to my new podcast with my friend Allison, who did YBYA with me. And I'm going to be doing a video about novel predictions, which is our new podcast, which you should subscribe to, because it's super fun. I don't understand why people like this book. I think my theory, and I talk about this on the podcast, is that like after Harry Potter, everybody just like needed something else to love and to hold on to that tightly, and it was either you went with Twilight or Eragon. And I went down the Twilight route, and Allison went down the Eragon route. And that's how that happened. And I read this book, and I would not have if I had not been forced to. Yeah, go listen to the episode. You'll hear more about it. I read Kids Like Us, which was weird. This book was about a kid who has ASD, and he goes to France with his mom, who's a Hollywood director or producer, and they're making a movie, and he meets a girl. And it's boring. Guys, I'm sorry, it was so boring. The book was really boring. Again, just really disappointed. I read it in like a day because it's like less than 300 pages. It might be less than 250. And it just was not my cup of tea. Okay, now this was a really cool thing. So I got a copy of Hank Green's An Absolutely Remarkable Thing, which is a highly anticipated read. He's coming to Denver, which is awesome, and it's gonna be amazeballs. And if you live in Denver and haven't gotten tickets, what are you doing? Because we're almost sold out. But the thing is, I wrote this review, and I want to do a video, I'm thinking, about this book in of itself. I gave this book a 3 out of 5 stars. I'm a nerd fighter. I started making videos because of the Vlogbrothers. Like, that's a huge part of this success of this channel and why I do this. And yes. So, but I didn't know what to expect from this book, and I couldn't give it more than 3 out of 5 stars, and I still haven't quite wrapped my head around it, and it just feels like the perfect review for it. And if you want to read my whole review, go ahead. It's actually quite a popular review because I'm one of the very few people who have actually read the entire book, it would seem, that's rated on Goodreads. So much so that Hank Green actually commented on my review and said he liked it. Now, okay, here's the thing. Yes, it's really super cool that Hank Green commented on my video. That's awesome. Thank you for taking the time to do that. I'm super stoked. But what was the cooler part was the fact that I rated this book a 3 out of 5 stars, and he liked my review still. And the thing about that is, I just thought that was really interesting, because, you know, he didn't have to. He could have said it was trash. He could have not said anything at all. And, you know, I didn't think it was the best book. I didn't think it was terrible. I just thought it was really interesting. I don't really know what to say. Like I said, I feel like that all my thoughts about this book have to go into an entirely separate video, because there were a lot. Like I said, I wrote 6.5 paragraphs of a review. Who does that and doesn't get paid for it? I don't, like, that, it was a lot. So, yeah, more on that. Go look at my review / I'll do a video maybe of it later. I'm gonna move on to the next book. The last book that I read in July that wasn't a Rizzoli Isles book was Jackin Luisa by Andrew Keenan Bowler and Kate White, no, that's not her name, Kate Weatherhead, that's her name. 2 Broadway actors that I absolutely adore, and it's a middle grade book about 2 best friends that love theater. And I love this book series, and I don't care what anyone else says. I gave this book a 4 out of 5 stars because it's adorable, and I wish I could recommend it to all middle grade readers because it's just a great story about friendship, and I love theater, and it's perfect for nerds. Like I said, I read 13 books, but keep in mind that 8 of them were these, and then there were 8 other ones. Not the 4 I have in my hand. because I had to give a lot of them away to other people. But yeah, so 8 Rizzoli Isles, 8 other books, and only 1 was a graphic novel, so I still think that's quite an accomplishment for the month of July. That's like almost a book every other day. Wow, that's a lot of math. Leave a comment down in the comments below. I look forward to talking to you guys as always. Until next time, guys. Bye! I obviously highlighted the crap out of it, because that's what I do in books. Even when I'm not writing reading, you know, nonfiction or textbooks, I annotate. I don't care. Go watch one of my most popular videos of To Annotate or Not to Annotate, and it's really early on in Kaleskorner history channel. Hui. I would take those videos down, but they're part of the history, and they're just now on the internet forever and ever, so enjoy.